Welcome back to Obscure Gaming, where we all live in a Pokemon world, and I want to be the greatest master of them all, despite the title of Pokemon Master being vague and not explained, although I'm sure playing this game was a part of the process. And so today, we'll be talking about Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back for the Gameboy Color. As to why he would want to strike back, we look to the story, or watch the movie, which I did in preparation. The 4Kids edit. It hurt and it didn't help. The game opens up with Ash throwing a Pokeball in what could only be described as a slideshow. But out of the Pokeball emerged 3 pages of text, none of which I could understand until I found a translation. Ash Ketchum is on a mission to become the world's greatest Pokemon trainer, although he successfully captured many of the 151 types of electrically charged Pokemon, a complete lie by the way, but each possessing its own unique powers. His greatest challenge lies ahead of him. Can he and his friends Misty, Brock, and Pikachu conquer the all-powerful Mewtwo, a bioengineered Pokemon / DLC character who plans to rule the galaxy with his own strain of supercharged Pokemons? Then suddenly, a logo appears, and we get a look at the game's alleged cast. Ash, Misty, this very unfortunate picture of Brock, Team Rocket, who referred to a Scyther as an Alakazam in the first movie, because they apparently don't watch their own show. We have this very important character with no name who had 3 lines in the movie and got wrecked by Ash, an extreme close-up of the bastard with the Gyarados, and this douche who had a Pidgeot, and then cut the title screen. And I know what you're thinking, wow, they only left out like 1 character, though to be fair, she probably had something better to do. But with the plot and our characters vaguely established in no way whatsoever, it's time for Ash to set out to become an intro card for stages while Pikachu does all the actual work. And as you can see, the game is pretty much an exact recreation of the movie, with some liberties taken. All of them if you want to get into semantics, but for now, we're just going to talk about the gameplay. Now, Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back is a platformer where you platform Pikachu through 5, count 'em, 5 whole stages in order to thwart Mewtwo's evil plans. To accomplish this task, you'll visit a variety of well-known Pokemon locations, my favorite being Egypt. In these areas, it's Pikachu's job to move to the right, all while attacking things that kinda look like Pokemon until the game gave up and threw in other stuff like these guys. You'll make jumps to platforms that you'll then proceed to jump off of, all while collecting Pikachu's favorite things like these orbs and hearts, batteries, and crates of God knows what. And at the end of each stage you'll fight a boss, in this case Mewtwo, who's striking back, all while walking back and forth in this threatening fashion. As a side note, he's in stage 1 of the game, and doesn't appear in any of the other stages, or at all during the rest of the game. So considering this is him striking back, a lackluster performance. But after each boss fight, you're rewarded with a free picture of Team Rocket doing some random wacky hijinks. I'm not sure if these pictures are trying to flesh out the story at all, but this one has Jesse smacking James, so that's pretty cool. The other bosses are not Pokemon. I wasn't sure until I saw Mr. Snail over here. He kinda gave it away. Don't really recognize the other ones, but they all have one special thing in common. Funny hitboxes, allowing you to jump on them more than 1 time per whatever their attack cycle is. It doesn't really seem intentional because sometimes you just fall through them instead, but sometimes it helps. Maybe. I can't really tell because the boss fights take up way more time than they should, which makes me think they just gave the bosses a lot of health in place of actually making them tough. But both bosses and all enemies can be taken out by simply jumping on their head or by performing a thunderbolt or shock, any number of electrical things, and none of your foes really put up that much of a fight. They all have set patterns and aren't that smart, some getting stuck in mini pits while still trying to chase you to no avail. The only real threat posed is by them getting in your way while you're trying to platform, which you tend to do a lot in this platformer. Pikachu, luckily so, controls okay, at least he does at first. The jump is fine, he's able to hit ledges he probably shouldn't be able to, but it works, and his attacks are functional, which that's always great, with there not really being too many weird problems like going through the enemy or taking damage when you clearly shouldn't be. And even if you did, this bootleg is set up a bit smarter than the others, as instead of you dying in like one hit, you have HP in the form of hearts, so you can collect a bunch of hearts and theoretically get hit a bunch of times. You'll also pick up a lot of spare lives as well, or at least I did. Though there is an issue that does plague the game, and can ruin what would be an otherwise decent title, until I complain about its bad music, that is. But like in some other 2D platformers, you can run, though in this game it's not by holding down a button, such as A or B. Instead, if you hold the direction long enough, the game just decides that Pikachu is running now, and inertia does the rest, which has its benefits if you can react quickly enough, as you can get through the stages really quickly. But controls are a little bit spotty, to say the least, while you're running, not to mention while you're trying to stop running. So more often than not, especially if you don't really know what's coming up next, which is all the time, you're gonna fall into a lot of pits or just run into stuff or off of things. Granted, as much as the movement can be a big issue, I've played so many bootleggy games at this point that the controls didn't really bug me that much. And/or I just kinda got used to them, which is cool because I read that the game was pretty much unplayable, but it really didn't seem too bad to me. Still not accurate to the movie in any way, shape, or form, but I've certainly played worse games. Luckily though, there are still some bad things, like its music. Enjoy this little snippet. Personally, I think it sounds like random noises, but that's just me. The title, of course, has other music, but I'm gonna go ahead and do you the service of not playing any of it for you. You're welcome. Let's just go over the visuals where it's safe and confusing. Now, in Pikachu's quest to stop Mewtwo, he travels all across the world. I mentioned Egypt earlier, though he also visits a grassy tree place, a proper forest, the Aztec ruins, and what looks to be a stage from a Mega Man game. The lengths that Pikachu is willing to go is incredible. And in all fairness, the stages actually look pretty good. There's nothing too nonsensical about them, minus the silly, mostly not Pokemon things running around them. And while again, it has zero to do with the actual movie, it's serviceable. Makes no sense at all, but I'll take it. The only thing about the visuals I can say is an issue, I guess, is that sometimes Pikachu is a different color, and if you look really close up on Pikachu, he kinda looks stupid. But everyone has bad days. It's okay. But that was Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back. Despite Mewtwo being inept and dying in the first level, his game is not the worst I've played by any means. Not to say it's perfect, but should you happen to run into it across your travels, it's worth checking out if you're curious. But this has been Obscure Gaming. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to Endslate, where Nico does the art and intros, and I awkwardly made this video, and the social media stuff is at the bottom of the screen, but now I'm going to flip the script, as somehow, and I'm not really sure how, this video was sponsored by the Pixel Empire, I think. I'm still a little confused over the situation, but roll with me here. Now, if you're anything like me, you're currently surrounded by walls to keep out the elements and neighbors and whatnot. But perhaps those walls are a tad bland and need sprucing up, as the kids might say. Well, look no further than the Pixel Empire for your sprucing up abilities, as they feature a variety of video game and non-video game designs. There's Mario and BioShock, Zelda, and Metal Gear. There's even a Stormtrooper design. That's a non-video game example right there, but it's pretty nonetheless. But wait, there's more, is something I've always wanted to say, but if you order from the site and use the promo code Yuriofwind, which is my username incidentally, you can get 15% off. Unfortunately, I don't have a phone number to give you to make this like a proper commercial, but you know, I tried. And I'm now technically a walking discount code, so that's kinda neat. Feel free to use me. Next time on Endslate, maybe it'll be an actual Endslate. See you next time on this.